creating a sky that's believable, that has depth and it has infinity, where you have the deepest, beautiful ultramarine blue that blends down into the horizon toward the hazy atmosphere of Earth. That accomplishment in painting is something representational artists hold high value. And when oil came along, a painter was able to take a large brush, keep the medium wet, and blend down toward the horizon, adding a little bit of what was back then lead white, which we shouldn't use, it's very bad for you. With it, going from ultramarine down to the lead white toward the horizon, you could keep it wet and blend it down and have your sky done in one afternoon while you're watching it develop. And it had all that depth. It was wonderful. A tempera painter, on the other hand, would have to take tiny brush strokes and script lines of ultramarine blue and then add a little more white. You know, it'd be days before you even got into the lead white. This was a month-long process to create a believable sky with depth. And why would you waste that time? The monks knew why. The monks wrote lines of scripture or prayer like mantras over and over, repeating the lines. And as they did that, they might be contemplating who knows what, the Annunciation of St. Francis, whatever the work they were doing, it was their mantra. They would think about it over and over. One line, and building that sky over days and days. That way, the process for building the painting, the medium itself required the artist to become involved with its meaning, the representation. So they were one. The medium and the meaning were one. So that's what attracts me to egg tempera. This is called levity. This brick painting demonstrates something I think is important for my work. It's about what I call the dialogical approach. The dialogical approach is literally about how I imagine one of us walking up to a work of art. You might go up to, speaking of abstract work, a Jackson Pollock painting and study it for a while and begin to ponder the idea of good and evil, or movement and stillness, or some other metaphysical concept. Really, who knows what might pop into your head? This is your inner dialogue with the painting. You have complete autonomy. You're free. That's a value of abstract work. On the other hand, what do we do with work that represents or selectively recreates reality? You might think, well, now you're a bit more limited in your response. If I've been successful, you can't help but see that there's a brick represented in this work. You might feel that I've taken away a bit of your liberty to interpret anything you want. Sure, you could say, I choose to believe that's a shrub. But you'd have a difficult time pulling such a thought off, and I can tell you that it isn't a shrub. It's just a brick. Despite the liberty I've so selfishly taken away from you by asking you to consider this brick, I've tried to make it worth your while by presenting you with not just a brick, but a brick used to represent and communicate an idea. I'm inviting you not only to dialogue with the painting, but also to believe that there is something intended by me for you to consider. The brick then provides us a foundation for a very human dialogue, as opposed to a solitary inner reflection. You may be at the museum by yourself, but you don't have to feel alone in your dialogue. I've offered an idea. In this case, it's about the possibility of defying gravity. I was thinking of gravity and overcoming the bounds of matter. This could be called a metaphysical concept. It's one I have spent a lot of time with and happen to take very seriously. And as abstract as the idea is, I'm able to, without even being here, ask you through the painting to join me in pondering it. And the better job I've done of convincing you that a brick might actually levitate, the more likely it is that you will think of it as a metaphor for other things. And this could lead to quite an open-ended conversation. If it's good, you'll feel invited to rejoin it again and again. That's what I hope for.